Hello, folks. How are you? Thank you for your patience if you've been wanting to see my stream this week. And if you are returning, thank you very much. And I know it is an interesting time. I think I'm finding that folks, maybe like yourselves, are mostly interested, maybe watching. And let me know, though. I really would like to know if you are there. If you don't mind, sharing your information. Let me know if you are, like you're actually a programmer, you're a developer, trying to learn, or are you mostly just interested in watching something? Or if you are returning, I would really appreciate letting me know if this is something helpful to you, or maybe you do enjoy watching it or learning something, or if you're just simply just watching and kind of finding something to do. So anyway, thank you. If you're here, and as such, I can't really tell who's here. So it's real hard. I wish sometimes it could be like in person. I prefer in person, but this is you know we this is what we have, and it is how it goes. So anyway, not sure if it's too loud. Let me kind of turn down my music a little bit. I actually came to find out that I'm using OBS directly, sort of, right, and then anyway, and but it still goes through my streaming software, so I can multi-stream it. But I'm realizing that in OBS with this later version is actually seems to have proper on the Mac, having like proper output device. So I think it should sound better with my background music, but if it is too loud, let me know. And anyway, so yeah, so before I go on, actually, let me share too. So I have my Discord server over here. So if you like, please join my Discord server if you haven't already done so. It's just like up about there. It's just that will be easier for communication, but at the same time too, I'm not sure. I mean, it just, and this is what I'm finding, and it seems like if you are into AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, I'm finding that because ChatGPT has become the phenomenon, right? It is kind of like drawing a lot of people. Maybe you're one of them. So those kind of gatherings, right? Be they webinar, seminar, a meetup, just a talk, just presentation, podcast, all of these. It seems like it's drawing a lot of folks to those. But if you are, non, into not so much into AI and all those, maybe you're not actually, as interested too. So anyway, I'm just finding it to be kind of interesting. And also today, I actually just did a presentation for the Java Champions Conference, and that's an annual event. It's organized by one of the Java champions who is now a retired professor. He was a professor, right, up in Montreal. So if you're up there, you may know, right, Dawson College, and he, apparently he was very successful. He's also very, very nice professor. I think I would love to have him if I were a student again, but of course he's retired now. So he's really enjoying his time, and he's been doing this all volunteering to run an online conference, and it's so good. Let me share that with you too. I actually share it in my this episode in the episode description. Actually, that's another thing. I don't know where it goes. I had the episode description, but it's I don't know. I really don't know where it goes. But anyway, I need to try to find out, because I know that I enter those information is supposed to send it out to my destination, and I only have two streams, and one coming here to Twitch, and the other going to my YouTube. Um, I've decided I do need to start sharing my YouTube. For some reason, earlier, I think I'm just doing too many things. I have to admit, I go and speak at conferences a little too much, previously. So that, a lot of things too, be they at home, at work, everything. It seems like because, once I have to travel, then every time you travel, you have to make all these plans ahead of time. And then, then during travel, because they're to different countries, so I wouldn't know. So a lot of research needed to go into those. how do I, and I'm the type of person I really like taking public transportation. I think it's better for the environment. I guess unless I'm like in a big hurry, I usually would just take public transportation. So those things, right, especially in Europe, it's great taking the train. So I had to do a lot of research, and sometimes too, like it resulted in things that are not right either. So that's kind of interesting. So it takes a lot more time to try to figure something out. And as a result, I realized that during the holidays, I'm trying to get caught up with so many things at home that I didn't do. And but anyway, that's how it goes. And anyways, too many things now. And rather than me talking, let me go. Where am I gonna go? I was gonna say the Java Champion conference. So let me send that to you. And this is the let me do this. Let me do this one thing. It's funny. I'm doing this, and then the way it is going. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So let me show, and then I don't even know where it goes. Okay, here we go. So this is the Java Champions conference website with the schedule. So there's plenty. I know there tend to be like for mostly Java people, but there are topics such as the one that I did was actually about generative AI, and I call it "Enter the Brave New World of Generative AI and with Vector Search." So I think it went very well, and let me kind of show that to you. And why not, right? Let's go to YouTube. So you can go to YouTube first, and then basically, and then I actually let me go to this. And by the way, actually, my company too has. Oops. Let me kind of lower that. Let it play, right? So it's actually, the company had a webinar or kind of online broadcast on Thursday, and then it's really for a wiki chat, a wiki chat bot. So I should actually share with you. And that actually, let me also do that. Like as you can see, it's playing in the background. Let me kind of shrink myself so then I don't block you. Let me do that. Okay, so here we are. Let's see about this. And so this is actually the wiki chat, and it goes into some depth too. It's actually pretty good, this particular broadcast, and they go into some detail. So if you are into it, right, a real-time RAG application, which is retrieval augmented generation pattern application for ChatGPT type of application, and it's drawing data from Wikipedia, right? And then it's using this library called LangChain, which I believe that's like the most popular like large language models library these days, right? It's in JavaScript, and also with Vercel as a deployment platform for JavaScript, as well as I think for Python too. You can also deploy it. And then for AstraDB, which is for my company, that's the data store. So this is a good one too. So I should actually share that with you. So you can also, kind of take a look at it if you want, right? So, and okay, so that's the Java Champion. Let me do this one thing. Let me replace that. Uh, okay, let me kind of do that. And then now I'm trying to replace, and I can't find where this box is. I have to look for it. Oh, here we go. Sometimes it's kind of funny and it jumps. Anyway, so let me then share with you. So this one is basically the one that you see behind me. So the thing is though, if you go to my company's website to, in fact, that might actually be easier because I think they're still having that available in there. Over here, that's right. So if you kind of go in here and view video, so go to my company's website, maybe that might be a little bit easier than this whole thing. And then do, of course, let me do that. Let me kind of share it on the chat, so then it's easier. And here we go. So the DataStax, tech broadcast on Wiki Chat. So kind of like a Chat GPT chatbot sample app, right? So I just wanted to share with you. Wait. Okay, so I put it into the chat too. So if you want to, you can click on that or go to my company's website, which is datastacks.com. Let me do that again, and here we go. Let me see. Okay, let me. Okay, and as you can see over here, right, the datastacks.com. So you can go to this website, datastacks.com, and then you'll be able to see that it is also listed there, the live stream from Thursday, yesterday. And, oh, no, wait a minute. Was it? Today is the 26th. Wait, that was, 24th. I'm sorry, that was on Wednesday. So if you want to take a look, you can kind of take a look in there. I think it's, got some interesting information you can do on demand, replay all of these things, which is kind of nice. So, all right. And I forgot why I'm kind of in here now. What is it? What is it that I wanted to talk about? And are you talking about something that I'm not paying attention? Let me take a look to the chat. Okay, so nobody is saying anything. No problem at all. And let me kind of check some things too, because let me kind of making sure that the information is displayed correctly. Yes, it is. So, okay, so all right, so that's that. Now let's kind of get into that data API again. How about that? Last week, right, I talked about the data API. So I'm back here. Actually, that one is the chatbot, and let's talk about API reference vector database. The data API introduction part. Last week. Oh, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. Let me text. Let me hide that so it's not in the way. So as you can see, right, this is the where you can find information about the DataStax API introduction. Let me kind of share that with you too on the thing on the chat there. Oops. Okay, let me share that with you because if you want to, right? If you want to kind of take a look yourself too, because sometimes I know you kind of watch things and then it's basically you watch and then and then sometimes harder to follow along. I mean, for me too, sometimes I watch stuff, but I actually usually save a couple links so then I can look at it myself, because when you're watching, things can kind of go by really fast. And then not only that, you are having also disruption too, or interruptions, whatever you want to call. So that's what it is. But anyway, so if you want to take a look, right, data API introduction. Now the thing is too is that there are a couple ways you can use it, right? So last week, if you have joined me, you probably have seen me did a couple of the curl commands. So curl is essentially command line. So sometimes too it's really kind of more like a quicker way, so to speak. However, even with that too, you do want to make sure that you set up your environment in order to run it properly. So let's take a look at it again. How about that? Okay. And let me share something too with you, because I basically set up my environment, right? So folks, if you are, let's say I'm using a Mac, so pretty much like kind of like a Linux type of interaction. So running using a shell like Bash, right? Born again Bash, right? Or sometimes like Z shell. That's what is by default now on the Mac. And then otherwise you can do C shell, regular Bourne shell, all of these that will work too. Just make sure you set up the environment properly. Now, if you're on Windows, then you want to set up to accordingly your environment variable. I haven't been using Windows operating system for a while, so I don't know if there are any updates, but you used to have to just do all the set your environment variables, but it's the same concept, right, as other things. So just make sure you set those up. And let me kind of grab this guy, this thing. Go over here. So this is actually, I actually don't want to show this. What am I doing this for? Okay, now you kind of know, wait, oh yeah, this is fine. You can actually, have these things too. So essentially too, I have set up my environment. So let me do that again. Okay, clear and exit. So I just call my bash, and then I actually have set up, so it kind of essentially set up all of these things. So just want to show that to you again. So You will need the Astra database DBID, Astra DB API endpoint, Astra DB application token. So I won't display the token here, but the thing is you can grab that from your particular setup, right? Your particular database setup. I know sometimes, and that's another thing, you want to watch this, but yet there are so many of these kind of details you need to know, right? So that's another thing too, is that's why I share with you that data API, documentation, so then you can also kind of go through it yourself and set up all of these environment variables. But over here too, I basically just have set up already and show that to you, once I run the script. And then I also have my DB key space, the DB region. The collection that we're going to use is Luxoft call. That's one. And then my OpenAI. So that's another thing. You do also need an OpenAI key. That's the OpenAI, kind of account where you can use their APIs too, right? So actually, my music is kind of loud in here. So let me kind of set it lower. Okay. All right, it stopped. That's good. Sometimes I probably am not picking the right music. I try to do a collection too of that music, but just thought sometimes if they're like dead silence, is good to fill it up with some music. That's me. So if it bothers you, let me know too. But I don't know. Can you actually filter off music? Because I know too there are some sites too that allows you to filter off. But in any event, I just thought I'd bring this up. So another thing though, I wanted to mention too, we're using Vercel for this particular chatbot, right? Vercel is like another platform. So let's kind of, I'll step through that a little bit. And then also too, I'm using this thing for Python, and thanks to my colleague Aaron too, and he's like sharing that there's a PyEnv. So PyEnv is basically allow you to switch to using different versions of Python. Now, this particular chatbot that we're using, that does require Python, I think it's 3.9 or above. So, and I actually already installed 3.12. So all these things is true. You will need to set them up first. So let's kind of take a look first. Let's take a look at the Astra database. Now, folks, as such, it's like we're trying to do to cook up something, right? Like we think of this a cooking lesson. You will need, it is a bit of a complicated thing. It's not just like, okay, let's write a simple program to solve some math problem, and then you can do algorithms and then take the input output, and there you go. In this case, we're doing chatbot, so it involves many steps. Now, first of all, if you're a programmer, right, and I have to assume too, not everybody is familiar, so I just explain a little bit. So typically too, what happens is when you do a chatbot like this, so the chatbot, you need the server side. So you can do it many ways. And so this particular example, we're using essentially next.js, and that's a JavaScript, right? And then we essentially launch it onto the platform. It's called Vercel, right? So Vercel seems to be a very popular JavaScript deployment type of platform that also can take Python as well, from my understanding. So that's why Vercel is involved. So that one will have the chatbot service. Now, the thing is too, is that you can be doing chat, but the thing is too, the chat too will rely on a lot of different services. So some of which are like, for example, doing a lot of the utilities, and of course too, when we're dealing with chat GPT type of application, we're talking about vector data type, so what is vector, you may ask. And so that is as a new form of data, or relatively new, not that new, because vector database already came out before generative AI. And its purpose is that because now we're talking about artificial intelligence data, so these data are not, so to speak, like singular one dimension, they're multi-dimension. And why is that their need? Because data needs to be stored up in a fashion that can be searched and stored properly, so they can be searched quickly. Now, the search is that because now, in order to do AI type of artificial intelligence kind of thing, you want actually the bot to think on its own. So then you have to have it be trained, right? So this is where machine learning comes in, and either supervised or unsupervised kind of training. And the data too, it has to know how to, when you're doing some searches, right? Let's say let's say asking about what is a bot, that's a question that goes in. So then it will then have to go to that large language models in which there are a lot of trained data. So based on that too, it's making a lot of approximate type of searches, so to speak, right? So that's why too these data needs to be able to be multidimensional, not just single dimensional. Now the thing is too is that I did the talk already, but maybe I'll just fill you in a little bit. How about that? Let me do this. Let me do this one thing. Uh, let me dig up my. Oops. Okay, here. Okay, let me do that. Okay, actually, let's do it over here. So this is my thing, and I just want to kind of quickly show you guys too. So then it's not like too, hopefully not too abstract, right? What is vector database? Oops, and am I doing it right? Okay, here we go. So what is vector database? So I just want to explain, right? You have to think of data like having a multiple dimension because it needs the location of that data plus also the direction, right? The magnitude and the direction. That's what forms the vector. So, but just kind of think of it that way is like, some data. Let me kind of show this one to you. It makes more sense. Let's say a cat and a dog and house. These are three different things. So in that vector space, they are all occupying different points, on this two-dimensional graph. So that's what it is. So the thing is too is that you want to search for something. Let's say you're searching for something that's called a house, and then you want to search for something, another point that's closer to the house. So right now you can see dog and cat are kind of far away from it, but maybe there are other things, such as like a cottage, right? It's a small kind of cottage home. Is actually maybe on this space would be like a little bit closer. So that's what will get returned to you. So it's sort of an approximate type of measurement that we're talking about. So that's where it is kind of necessary. So let's kind of go back to where. Okay, so I was just talking about. Wait, is it here? Okay, here. Okay, so anyway, so that's the vector database. So I would just kind of, see what happens once I get into it, then I can kind of go on and on. But anyway, so that's the thing. So let's kind of take a look too into this database. I know sometimes, especially as programmers, and I have to admit too, when I first became a programmer, that was, a long time ago, basically 1990s, right? And I remember too working with some guys. They are like, all at the time was a lot of command line too, and command line meaning that there wasn't as much of a user interface. There was X window, by the way. Folks, if you're aware of MIT having X window, and it was kind of like the client server kind of windowing system, of that time period. And so anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that then guys are like that I worked with, they are like, oh, database, oh, they kind of like turned an ugly face because they were like, who wants to deal with data? I don't know. That was maybe the thing of that time. But even now, as I'm kind of noticing too, there are lots of people interested in data, but then they tend not to be the programmer. They are more like the data scientists. And then programmers themselves actually don't like to work with data for some strange reason, right? But the thing is not, it is necessary. I mean, just think of the fact that data is there to help us to remember things, right? Let's say, right, you can say, well, I don't need a database, but what if, there's some, or even if it's not database like a traditional one, you need the data so then it can be kept. It's like a state, it keep the state of the data. What if the power goes off, and if it's not in permanent storage, when the power comes back, then you lose all the data. They are essentially different electric signals, and you need to store the signals inside something. So that's what it is, a data store like that, right? So okay, so that's the thing, that's database. So let's then take a look at our database. How about that? Okay. And here we go. And where am I? And I wanted to actually share with you the database that I was looking at. Wait. Let me see. I thought I have it in here. Okay, here we go. So I was just talking about vectors, like so many things. So let's go here. So go again, folks. If you haven't already signed up for it yet, go to our DataStax website, and here we go. Let me share it. Kind of try to find this now, and let me see. So go to this one, right? DTXX, this one. Okay, let me share with you. How about that? let me share with you on chat. So here we go. Okay, free tier Astra DB vector. Sign up. $25 per month, like 300 per year. So it's actually a good deal. I mean, it doesn't hurt to get a free account. Is what I'm trying to say. So here we go. Show on stream. Here we go. So the one behind. So you can't see my face, but that's okay. You don't need to see my face. So free tier. Why do I kind of type in so many things? But in any event, just follow the bottom one. And also it's in the chat too. So just click on that, and that's where you can get to the page that I'm showing you now. And so let's do this one thing. This kind of like this. So just sign up, with Google, or give your first name and last name and your email address, and we won't spam you. I promise you. Because I signed up one using my Gmail, and then I hardly get much mail at all, and we won't bother you. The nice thing about this is, a month has passed and you didn't use up all your $25. It will be forfeited, toss away, but you'll be given another fresh $25 credit for the next month. Or if you use it up, just wait for the next month and then it will come. Now, usually too, if you don't use too much data, it's actually pretty sufficient. And then you get $300 a year. And then in my case, I already signed up, so I'll just do a sign in. And then I'll just sign in using my Google credential. It will take a second, right? And again, reference that, and it's also in the chat there too. Okay, all right. Okay, let me kind of do this one thing, and wait, here we go. Let me kind of hide it so then I can come back in here. Why is it not hiding? Wait. Yeah, that's right. Why is it not hiding, right? Here we go. Why is it not hiding? That's the thing. Okay. Give me a second. And that's what happened to me when I first actually started this stream. It wasn't streaming to my YouTube. It was only streaming to, oh, wait, is it like a ticker? I added it as a ticker? Okay. I'll just have it up there, but then I cannot find that particular ticker to tell it to stop. I think there's something wrong with this interface, to be honest with you, because it's not closing that thing unless I did it wrong, right? So let's see. The good thing about this doing these streams is that you guys are easy, right? And you don't really care if even if it doesn't, things are not working perfectly. But again, really would appreciate if you give me some feedback though. But you can see it on the ticker. But like I said, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it is to say. Okay, here we go. Free tier. All right. Okay, that was just the ticker. But my banner is the thing I cannot find. I believe that there's some issue in here because I really cannot find this. So anyway, so it looks like maybe I have to let me do this one thing. Let me kind of switch to a different thing. Let me kind of go back. All right, now at least you can see my face. However, like I said, I cannot find where this is to kind of disable it. Let's see. Let me see. Maybe that's what it is. I don't intend to have a long stream today. Part of me is that because I discovered this new, it's actually, or I was kind of being aware of the new feature, right, in my OBS that I can actually, I think there is actually a more proper connection between the audio device that it captures and kind of goes to my device. So then it seems like it's better, because before I wasn't able to do it, even though I was actually using an open source kind of freeware to kind of have the audio output, to capture audio output, but I think it never sounded very good for some reason. And then I was mucking around with different um, kind of kind of output capture thing, but then it was never right. And then today all of a sudden I said, wait a minute, there is actually a new Mac um, video output capture now. So I'm trying it. I think seems like the sound is sounding better, because I tested earlier too. So okay. So anyway, the thing is too is that I am not seeing this not going away. So um, hmm, let me kind of take a look. And why is this so silly in here? Um, okay. Well, anyway, I do believe that maybe because this actually is. I was using Melon Apps, but I think Melon Apps is now part of Talk Studio, part of Streamlabs now. But I think, and that there's a lot of confusion in here too. In fact, part of me too kind of a bit delayed, because I was talking with the. I need to renew this, but then there was some things and they didn't know how to handle it, and so I was talking with them. So okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. I think I know now. I somehow was enabling things on the chat rather than on the different text things, so that's why. Okay, so sorry about that. So in this case, let me make myself a little smaller so then I don't kind of block you guys. Okay. Oh, so here we go. We're at the data stacks, as you can see above me. The data stacks interface in here. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger so then it makes sense to have it here. Make it a little bigger, so you can kind of look at it. Okay, so here we go. So I'm using December 23rd Azure, this particular one. So as you can see, right, I was kind of telling you about all those settings in here: Astra DB ID, DB API endpoint, DB application token, DB key space, DB region collection. All of these are all taken that you can find out from here. Like, look at database ID is up there. Actually, can you see okay? Let me kind of make it a little bigger. And then there's also the API endpoint application token. You can generate new one, but in my case, I've just been using the same one. But the token I'm not displaying to you, because that is very true. That's essentially is the pass, right, to this. And then also too with my region, and then also the region ID in here as well. So all of these you can kind of take it from the console. Now the thing is too, it has what is called collection. And if you were here last week, as you know, collection is essentially, think of it, collection is like a table, right? But then the difference is that usually relational database table holds all of the rows, but then collection is basically holds a collection of all of the vector data space. So today too, in fact, I wanted to show that to you at my Java Champion conference. I loaded a sample set of data. So if you want to take a look in the data, wait, okay, so JChamp and Data Explorer, actually load data. I guess it basically it goes away. Okay, so I didn't save it, which is true. So let's select a file. It's called movie data CSV file. So it's just a command, comma separated set of data, and it's got like 300 movies right in here. So as you can see over here, right? For example, there are different movie title in here. So let's take a look. Right now there's uh, it's got actually where. How do I go to the next page? Okay, it's actually there should be more, and there should be also another because it loaded like 100 titles too. So let's kind of take a look in here. Okay, no, I don't want to close it right now, but okay. Oh, here we go. I didn't even look at over here. It says it only shows you the first 10 rows in here. So as you can see, let's take a look at the first one, Beavers. This movie, I actually have never seen it, and creation date, okay, blah, 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 and then critic name of these things. It's basically data that we took, right? Our engineers created this sample, so I'm just using them. And, the review text. So basically, this movie is the review data that we're using. And so time to be just something, right? And this is kind of like, it just gives you a little taste of that data. And essentially too, it gets saved, it gets translated into embeddings, right? So these are like vector embeddings that got translated from that line of text. And it's essentially too, this embedding is generated based on the embedding model, that's kind of published by the company. So or like OpenAI, for example, or another LLM provider called, popular ones is like Cohere, or there's also another company called Symbol. They're trying, I met the gentlemen there. They're based in Seattle, and it's pretty cool. They're doing like more like customer service type of data model, or large language kind of model. So their model is called Nebula. So there are many companies, and maybe some of you are already working with AI, then you're familiar with that. I'm not expert, but I'm also learning about it, and it's kind of fascinating too. So all of these data, they have also kind of specify how you can convert all of the data into the embedding model. So they have their own specification. So depending on the vendor that you use, but OpenAI would be like the most popular one. So as you can see, it kind of looks like this, but we can also take a look at that file. How about that? So let's say, actually, I'm blocking you again. So let me kind of go up. Okay. And my bash. So I can just do push D to download downloads directory. And remember, I have a movie. Actually, I have two. Let's do the, I think I did the actually, okay, no. And let's do that. I guess, let me see if we can do it. It can. So as you can see, right, it's a comma separated file. So it has the first line as the header, title, review ID, creation date, critic name, original score, review state, review text, and embedding. So as you can see, right, we're looking at Beavers, the first title, review ID, creation date, and the critic name, original score 3.5 out of 4, review state is fresh. So this is the actual review, timed to be just long enough for most youngsters, right? And brief attention spans, like that. And then it's packed with plenty of interesting activity, both on land and under the water. And so now this whole sentence gets translated, see, into this. So of course, too, these are called what is called floating point numbers, and these are huge because each word, get broken up and they map to that particular numerical representation, and it's a floating point number, which is decimal. So as you can see, right? So it gets translated sometimes to some numbers when they get translated is negative. So it's kind of quite kind of interesting, right? So it's a lot of data just for one line, that particular review, right? So that's what it looks like. So I just thought I'd kind of quickly kind of show that to you if you're curious. So that's the data. So that's what we can think of, kind of, that's what it happens. It's just an example. Okay, so let's kind of get back into here. And it's actually, okay, so this is the AstraDB. So take a look and then also follow along and create the data. But let me also take a look too. You can go into, let's take a look then into, well, actually, you know what? We're talking about data API. So let's kind of take a look. It will kind of show you, right? You can use curl command, as I kind of talk about. Curl is kind of found in all of, most, or at least if you're on Mac, that comes by default. So curl, right, is already a command. And whoops, I kind of like, okay, I'm getting the things up. So you can do a man page, right? So essentially, transfer URLs is essentially, kind of sends command HTTP, or actually also not just HTTP. It supports all these protocols too, right? FTP, which is very old, file transfer protocol. Govers, these are kind of a lot of old stuff. SMTP is the mail, and so essentially too is helping you the tool for transfer data. That's what it is. So it's there for use. So let's kind of take a look now, and let me kind of move it back down. So basically, too, you can use the curl command to send data API requests. I think that's kind of somewhat of an easy way to do it. So shall we do that? Let's. I think last week I kind of try out some of the commands, which is again, all these steps. Please review this, and then you can kind of then take a look and know what are the different environment variables that will be needed. But again, I already have shown you. Kind of scroll back in here. This is a whole set of environment variables that you need to set up. So that's what it is. So of course the values will be different for each one of you too. So, and why is this got the backend? Well, anyway, okay, all right. Over here, right? So it explains all of the data API too. But like I said, let's kind of take a quick test drive. Last week I took a quick test drive of the collection, right? Some of the curl collect. What was I saying? Of the Astra collection too. So let's take a look, right? Let's take a look at the commands. So, I kind of did it wrong. And let's go back to data. If you kind of take a look, is the data API. So we can describe the commands. You can start with the creation of a collection, insert documents into a specified collection, find data, searches, I'd say are probably most kind of used type of information, right? A lot of times too, we want to find our information, and occasionally too, we'll need to update some of those documents too. So again, documents, that's how we kind of describe these collection, because they are truly a document. Like this movie file, for example, is like a document. You update one or more documents, or delete a collection where it's needed too. So let's take a look, right? So like I said, we already set up all of these things in here. But you can, if you want to try it out, make sure you step through this so you know. And then let's try something out in here. Last week we did a create collection, right? If you remember, over here, create the collection. And again, make sure you set up all of these environment variables. And then we can create a collection. But how about this? I already created a collection. Let's kind of take a look in one that's doing list out all my collection. Find collection. Let's do that. So let's do a find collections. And essentially too, if you don't, this find collection, it contains a find collection command and a Boolean Boolean option that call explain is indicate whether the response should contain more information, right? So this is kind of, is it a verbose kind of thing, right? So let's give that a try. Let's do a find collection. So then let's see what collections are currently in my particular database. So let me copy that, right? And then go into here. Okay, here we go. And we can do that. And so pretty good now. I already got everything set up. And then again, we also need this particular utility called JSON_pp. So let's go take a look over here. What is JSON pp? JSON pp. The thing is too, on Mac too, I was able to install it using Homebrew too, just so you know. So it essentially converts some input and output formats, right? It's essentially JSON conversion of input and output. And okay, so all these things. So that's what, but we pipe it to them. So then, all of the responses that comes back will get printed out according to JSON format. So that's what it is. So let's run it and see what happens. Let's see what kind of, so it comes back. It's sort of like pretty print, right? So it comes back with status. The status is basically the status contain the collections, and within the collections we see that there are 3 records, so to speak, right? There are 3 rows, 3 collections that it found. And so as you can see, right, on the Astra database portal is showing JChamp, and that's what I created today. And it's essentially has more information. I wanted to explain more. Then it's 1536 is dimension, right? And also using dot product. And also have Luxsoft, that's also using 1536 and dot product. And then my We Are Devs, that one, I only have 300 and using cosine too. So now the thing is too, you can also do this one thing, right? Let me kind of repeat this, but let's go back to this command. Oops, go over here. What if I say false? Okay, and then enter. See what happens? So this false is that I'm not going to have it give a verbose output. As you can see, then the collections only show the names of that three collections, which are JChamp, Luxoft, Call, and We Are Devs in here. So as you can see, using curl command is actually quite fast. There's no need for you to write programs to set things up. Of course, programmatically always take a bit longer time. However, you have a lot more kind of more dynamic. You can kind of program it the way you want. You can customize things in there. So that's kind of like good too. So, all right. So we have tested this out. A quick thing. So how about last time I think I just looked into how about right besides curl command you can actually use Postman. So if you click on Postman as such too is an API framework. So it also has what is called like a test kind of framework for you to try things out, right? So if you click on that and that's what you see, let's kind of give it a try, right? So essentially too over here we have already kind of populate for you and try things out, and this also can be done quite easily too. So you can what we just did now for find collections, if you kind of use this, it's sort of an interface in there. And essentially too the command that you need to kind of construct together, you will actually need the endpoint, right? So in here too you can kind of replace me, for example. You can copy basically too in my case, right? I can copy my again, let me do that one thing. In here the endpoint is this guy. Actually this is replace me, so okay, so actually I just have to replace it in here too. I could actually you know what, let me do this one thing. I think I can set it in the environment too. So let's see, environments. Okay, and globals. Wait, globals, is it, I need to set up global. We can actually set up global environments. We can do a plus, right? And get, no, how do I get set up globals? Oh, you know why? Because I can't do it because I do need to sign in. So, but I think you get the idea because I don't have too much time tonight, right? And I started this late, my fault. It's almost an hour. I can't believe. And of course, this is late already, and I'm kind of getting hungry. And I'm sure that you can watch it later too. But right now too, at the moment, I'm getting hungry. So I'm not gonna like set this up because I need to also set a couple of things. But let me kind of do that and show it to you next time. But you get the idea. You can also set up the environment too. I believe. Link. Oh no. Globals. Oh, maybe the globals, does it read from the environment? Let's give it a try. Maybe that's what it is. I hope that's what it is. Let's go back to the collection. Find collection. I think if it is like that, right? So let's do that one. Query parameter key. I think I wonder if that's what it is. Astra db. Oops. Wait. No, that's just parameter. No, that's all that I want. Okay. I think okay. Let's do a send. How about that? But find collections, and how about that test? Okay, so it comes back, status code is 200, but I wanted to see to get an environment variable, get variable key, but where does it, well, and anyway, I used this long time ago. I forgot how you set it, but the idea is that once you figure out how you can kind of plug in these variables, you should be able to kind of run it too. But essentially too, this is the API testing framework in Postman that you can use, right? Okay, so that's that. Let's kind of come back to the description here. So Postman is one thing, and then there's also what is called like Swagger, right? So Swagger is you can do that too, but then I don't know. Let's take a look. So you can kind of run this in here, but the endpoint, right? I don't know if you can. You don't need the okay. Let's take a look. Let's see what happens. So in other words, you can just use this. And then again, I can go back to my Astra and get my endpoint too, which is actually here behind me. So my endpoint, let's copy the endpoint and go back here. See? Okay, I don't know if this would come back, but let's see. Okay, obviously this count, but the thing is, okay, so that would be something that I will try out next time, but just I haven't got a time yet to kind of set this all up. And essentially too, in other words, you can, there are three options. If you don't want to write your program, it's basically rely on your command line curl or rely on the Postman API kind of testing functionality that I was showing you. And or you can use the Swagger UI kind of try out functionality too. You just have to give your particular endpoint and plug that in, and basically then use the different variations of all of the different functional calls from here. So okay, so that's that. Now the next thing is that let's go over here and we can kind of take a look at the commands, but they're also supposed to have using it. Actually, that's another thing. This is kind of a very interesting documentation, because things seems like it talks about some things, but it doesn't actually show it to you. So over here, you might say, well, how do I actually do Python, right? So you can go back to integration client usages. You have to actually go up to the previous section, and basically, let's say Python, right? So okay, so I have things already set up in the environment, and you can actually go into here and Astra DBOps and connect to Astra database, right? So essentially too, you can kind of like essentially too. For Astra, we have our library called Astra Pi. So that's the one you want to do, and using the .ops package from there, import Astra DBOps in order to run this command, right? So we can kind of do that, and like I said over here. But the thing is too, I think you can actually do it using Python on the 3. So, okay, I'm in my Python runtime, and should be able to initialize this client, right? And oh, wait, see, I have 3.12, and module not found. So from astrapy.ops, import astra dbops. So I think I do need to set up my my file. So let's kind of use Visual. You can use Visual Studio to do this. This will be one way of doing it. Let me see. Let me look for my Visual Studio. Where is it? Here we go. Or actually, you know what? Here. Okay, so let's bring in my Visual Studio, and I can kind of quickly kind of set something up in here too. And it looks like my music is kind of off, so let me play that again. Okay, so use Visual Studio Code. And we can do a new file. Enter file name, let's say test.py, right? Actually, I want to put it into my GenAI directory, and I also do that. Okay, put under my data API dash 202024. That's fine. So I created there, and oh, you know what? Why don't we try out using GitHub Copilot? So see, this is the nice thing about GenAI, right? So essentially, too, let's say something like that. I have to kind of find out what to do. I know what needs to be done conceptually, but then in order to do it, you have to be familiar. So I want to ask GitHub Copilot chat to do something. So press I think like my window. Let's see. Okay, let's see. It's actually pretty cool. Ask Copilot, please uh, write. Uh, please connect to the Astra setup. Actually, I should say what we're trying to do is basically connect to Astra database. So that's what I'm gonna do. And actually, where did it go? Let me kind of go back into here. Where's my okay. Uh, set up Astra DB connection. Let's see. Let's see if it knows, right? Let's see what it says. I bet it may not know yet because I don't know whether, I need to point to an Astra database language model that has been trained, with Astra. So let's see. Is fetching responses is taking a long time. Uh, well, let's see what it comes up with. I'm kind of curious. So maybe that's why too I feel, right? Things like that with ChatGPT, when put to good use, it really is a good thing. So don't say it isn't. It is fancy and all that, but actually there's a lot of work. It sounds fancy, but when you go to do it, it takes a lot of time and to set up everything. So it's not as simple. And look at over here, it's taking a long time. But I believe too is that it is asking, the bot to find stuff for me. I wonder if it's searching, doing all of these things. So let me see. I'll still be curious to see. But in the meantime, right? Let me kind of do this one thing and let it go and see what it comes back. So basically, too, for ooh, connect timeout. Okay, so I think maybe because it can't find what it is looking for. So actually, how about this? Set up a DB connection. Maybe it'll give me a DB connection template. A DB connection template. Okay. Let's see if it can find it better. I mean, maybe because I was asking Astra, and it's basically I haven't set up to tell it to kind of point to an Astra, so it doesn't know. So let's see what it says. If I just say DB connection, hopefully it knows, and there should be some sort of template as I'm getting right. Because so I'm just kind of thinking, right? Say in Java, right? For example, you do need the driver, and then there's usually using JDBC, which is Java Database Connectivity, that particular library to make connection, and that seems to be kind of like the definitely a general way. So it should be able to generate code for you so that is the driver, and then of course you still need to configure which particular driver you want, all of these things, and then it should give you boilerplate code, and then basically get those information, the library, blah blah blah, the driver, and then it should be able to say essentially instantiate that driver and then make the connection. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Let's see what it comes up with, right? So okay, let's see. Let's see. Actually, there are folks in here. I'm also checking to my other, my connection too. I'm not seeing anybody asking me anything. Feel free to ask too, but you guys been kind of quiet. So anyway, but it is late. I'm sure nobody's, or if you are from Europe, you're probably like a night owl, right? That's very late. Or maybe if you're in Asia, you are actually during the daytime now. So maybe you're up, in the morning or midday or something. But here, it comes back and then read timeout. So it's also like not, um, accept. Let's say accept. And what is that? Okay, fine. So it can't actually try to find anything. But let's do that, right? Connect to a database. Let's kind of copy this code first, and then so from wait, I actually don't want that. Why is it? Here we go. That's what I want. So this basically will be doing a token to do some kind of get env. I think, can I do get env? Something, right? So how does it plug it in? Let me see. Okay, so over here, that's what it is, right? Example, maybe we can just use something like this. Initialize the client first, right? I have to still set up the token, all of these things, but I want to have it grab from the environment. So let's go kind of go to try to find out how I actually can read from the environment. Well, anyway, so this is where is actually things are taking a lot of time because I just don't have the code ready with me, so I have to go find out the answers. So let's do this. Sample code. EstraDB ops class to work with databases. So basically, see, sometimes too, and I know, if you look at to this, even I don't know what to do. So that's why I'm here for. Let me kind of do the legwork and then find the answers for you, and that's what I'm gonna be doing, right? Putting things into a blog post so then you can reference that and be able to actually jump start, rather than looking at this and you'll be like, well, how do I actually plug it in? That I want to get the information from the environment, or I basically don't want it hard coded. It's never a good idea. So that's something I'm going to go find out for you. But let's say, for example, with Java, right? For Java too, then again, something like this, right? I should be able to then quickly kind of do this essentially, right? So I could actually also do that too. But let's say what JavaScript or TypeScript will do. So in here too is that you create the connection Astra DB. This is kind of an example you can do. Import, Astra DB collection from at dataset slash Astra dash DB dash TS, right? And then you should be able to then plug in all of these things. So that's something. Let me kind of work on that next time with you. How about that? In the meantime, let's kind of go back to our. I said that let's continue with building a chatbot. So let's take a look at building a chatbot with LangChain. So we can actually follow this along with this too. So basically, you need to the active Astra account. I already talked about it. A paid OpenAI account. So the OpenAI is something that I already have. So you make sure you set up an OpenAI account. And folks, if you want to know, right, you just have to go to openai.com and then log in. And so basically, too, it's the API. So I already have the account, so you can see that it's already in here, and then you can kind of go over here and Playground Assistant API key. So I won't kind of click on this, but this is where you can get the API key from. So that's the OpenAI API. And okay, so let's kind of get back into here. This isn't where I was. And here, okay. So OpenAI account and a Vercel account as well too. And I have a Vercel. Actually, is it over here? Yes, this is my Vercel account too. So Vercel account is also free tier too. You basically can use kind of a free tier, but it's somewhat limiting to that, I have to say. So this is kind of, but you can kind of start using it too. So from here too, you also want to make sure that you have the Vercel ID with you as well. So take that from there. Let's go back in here. And Python 3.7 or above too. So I already have that. Make sure you also have desktop Git. And so the thing is too, you want to know how to interact with the database, as well as running a basic Python script and entering parameters in the user interface for Vercel. So that's the three tasks we need to be doing. And so now let's kind of follow along. You can kind of let's kind of clone this first. So I have copied this, and let's say I go to let me kind of get out of this thing. And this one, I'm like doing trade engine. That was earlier when I was working with streaming, working on that. And so let me go into my Gen AI. And let's do this. We're going to work with, this thing is called a, let's say, chatbot. Okay, so just kind of test or something. Let's just kind of do that. And so okay, so that's cool. I'm in there. So let me clone this. So make sure you have your GitHub client, and this is being cloned. And let's take a look. Let me move it higher. So now from there, like I said, today is a short stream, so I'm gonna about to end this now so I can eat something because I'm quite hungry as of now. But as you can see too, you can quickly clone this. Although I'm not sure like why this is taking so long. It shouldn't be taking so long. Um, yeah, so let's wait a little bit. I really don't know why this is okay. Here we go, and not sure like why this is taking so long. Either something in my computer. Let me see. Maybe something in my computer too. Oh, of course, I'm like running a lot of things, and let me see. My load average is actually high, 8.9 CPU. CPU is actually not too much, so I don't know what is going on. My physical memory is 31 use, so I have 32 gigs, so that's why it's kind of slow. So I don't know what is going on today, but in any event, and it says it can't connect to the server for some reason. Okay, anyway, this might come to a point in which I should stop. I've already been streaming for over an hour. I was planning just about roughly an hour so I can eat something. So, anyway, so that gives you an idea, right? We don't have all the working things working yet, but that gives me an idea, and that's what I should work on and show it to you next time, and then have something more prepared too. Okay, so with that, I hope it is helpful. Let me see if anybody has asked me any question or comments in the chat, and I kind of doubt it because I really haven't heard. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so with that comes to a close for today. But wanting to thank you, and I'm sorry if it's kind of not not like having all the pieces together, but there are also so many moving parts too. So the fact that you joined me, I want to thank you again. And again, this is coming to you from Chicago, and I wish you all a very good weekend. And I'm going to try to do another stream over the weekend to kind of essentially get caught up a bit too. And that's just been too many things going on. And next week, I want to continue with this too. But there's also, I want to introduce to you too, also this framework, an LLM framework called in Python, it's called Haystack too. I'm also starting to learn about it. So if you're interested too, also stay tuned. Even if it's not next week, one of these upcoming weeks, I'll be doing that too. So these are all about ChatGPT type of coding, working with large language models. So, all right. Thank you very much, guys. And you have a very good weekend. And maybe if you join me on the weekend, that would be cool too. All right. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.